and welcome to the Liverpool Stat Show. It's been rebranded. It was the weekend briefing on the RedmenTV.com, but it's Freeview week, so no more is this show hidden behind the paywall. The mass amount of subscribers for our YouTube channel get to see what we do each and every fucking week on the website. I'm pumped for it. We've not done this since Christmas, mate. This is fucking brilliant, man. We've got loads of stuff to run through. The main premise of the show, of course, is how the fuck the Liverpool replace Sadio Mane. That's the premise for the show. We'll be building stuff around it. We're going to be comparing them against strikers and wingers from around the league. We're going to be looking at the players in the Liverpool squad who could replicate that. We're going to look at some pass maps from 11, 10 and 11, which are just the sexiest fucking football things ever. We're going to look at different formations. We're going to look at the 4-3-3, the 4-2-3-1, the 4-4-2 diamond and Conte's 3-4-3 to see which formation could be best suited if we were to change formations. We're going to do an Ask Me Anything segment, and we're going to end the show by looking at a league position comparison from 01-02, 13-14, and another year that I've forgotten completely. But you know what? That's the introduction for the show. Let's get fucking straight into it. I am fucking hyped, man. Let's go. Sadio Mane stats, big time, on your screen, right fucking now. We've compared him to Eden Hazard, Raheem the Snake Sterling, Son, and Theo Walcott, which I'm quite surprised about. Has had a really good fucking season. All stats, of course, provided by Squawker. It's credited. We can therefore use them, you know what I mean? Not messing around here. So we've taken 7 stats on this slide to look at. We've got the attack score, which is a completely made up and bullshit stat from Squawker. We're not putting any credence in it. We would if Mané won it. He didn't, so we're not going to. We've got goals scored, we've got assists, we've got successful take-ons, chances created, key passes and shot accuracy. I feel like this is going to be an hour-long show, so strap in. I'm going to have to unhype myself a little bit because I'm not sure I can keep this level up because I'm already short on breathing. So, you know what? We've got Sadio Mane, we've got Eden Hazard. Let's look at the attack score first and foremost. Sadio Mane, 542 of them. Eden Hazard, 805. Raheem Sterling, 459. Blah, 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 blah. Fucking blah. He came second in that category behind one of the league's best players. More than the £50 million rated Raheem Sterling. Much more than Son. And only a little bit more than Theo Walcott. Goals scored, joint highest. 9 with Hazard. 5 from Sterling. 6 from Son. And 8 from Theo Walcott. John, take us through the assists. He's been talking for about 2 minutes now. And you haven't said a word.
Obviously, Sadio's joint highest with 4 with Sterling, which I think is interesting because I actually thought Hazard had more assists than that, to be honest. He's got 2. TV slightly reflective, so I'm assuming Son's got 3.
Yeah, that's right. And he's in yellow as well. That's the worst colour possible for this.
And Walcott's got 2 as well. So, you know, the thing I take from all 3 of those is obviously very productive, very... He's obviously very integral to how we play and how we score and how we attack and how we go forward. But also, I think you see that he strikes a fine balance that maybe the other players don't strike between being a winger come striker. You know, he sets goals up, but he also finishes goals.
That's right, isn't it? And, you know, we move on to the successful take-ons. Mane's completed 47. Eden Hazard way out ahead on 88. Sterling, 58 in second place. Mane was third. Son, 26. And Theo Walcott, 28. Chances created. Again, you know, he's second in the category behind Hazard. 33, 40, 28, 22, 11. Key passes, second again. 29, 38, 24, 19-9. Shot accuracy, he's got the best shot accuracy, which actually is quite interesting in and of itself because Liverpool have the best shot accuracy out of any side in the Premier League. Did you know that, John?
I didn't know that, no.
No, we have a shot accuracy of 53%. Sunderland are second in shot accuracy with 50%, and no other team in the Premier League has a shot accuracy higher than 50%. And that's an incredible stat because do you remember in the 13-14 season, we were like 11, 12, 13% for a large part of the time before that massive run of games where we just kept winning games. It's right interesting, isn't it?
It is thingy because like, we had that spell and like you forget about it now because we've been that good, but like we had that spell for probably about 2 years from like Kenny into Rodgers where like everything we did at the bar, and it was like there were so many games where like we ended up like we'd end the season and we'd be 7th and we'd be like, but if all those ones had gone in we'd be like 3rd or 4th, and like it's clearly that went on for that long. You were wondering is it just luck, is it kind of thing, but clearly it was something systemic in the team that Klopp's addressed. So I like that because it shows that progression that like it's not just a case of you know, waiting for things to change. Like, he's actually been in and addressed it, and you see that reflected in them stats.
And that's it. And going back to something Klopp said earlier on in the season, it's about taking your chances at the right time, isn't it? It's about playing that extra pass if you need to and creating a better angle. And that kind of is borne out by the fact that we're the best at shot accuracy because we're getting into better positions and then taking our chances at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing actually I wrote down when we were looking at these stats before we started was I think the key passes thing for Hazard's quite good, as in like it's the only stat in all those where there's a big drop off from him to everyone else. But I've put ignore it on my agenda because I think it shows how like we have different roles in our team and everyone's now got a responsibility, and I don't think it's Mane's responsibility to make key passes. That's Coutinho's or Firmino's. But then the one I've highlighted is instead of the key passes, do it more on chances created, because you know he's still making scoring opportunities, he's still making that pass to play someone in, or you know, into a dangerous area, but it might not be a key pass that sets a goal up, say. So I think you're seeing that. You're seeing the you know, where he's saying we're getting into key areas and making the right pass rather than making 15 or 16. That's what he's doing. That efficiency, and Mané, I think, is a big part of how we do that because he's so direct with what he does.
Yeah, he's incredible, isn't he? And look, before we move on to the next slide, I wanted to talk about the other players. I mean, we know Eden Hazard's having a tremendous season for Chelsea. Sterling's having a good season for Manchester City, even though he tanked against us, which is standard Raheem Sterling, to be perfectly honest with you. Do you think I've missed anybody here, glaringly, obviously, or do you think the one guy that maybe I think should have been on there, and I'll be honest, I had him on there, but Squawka can only compare 5 people, was Marcus Rashford.
Why is that? I wouldn't.
Because
he was the guy who came to my mind.
He has been sort of playing over on that wing, and when he's been playing and getting into those forward positions, much like Mane does. The reason that I decided to take him out rather than anybody else is because he just hasn't played as many games as the others, and it would have been a little bit unfair because his stats would have been way down on them unless we used to do the per 90 metrics.
The one player I would have threw in, I mean, I don't follow them enough to know if this is definitely the case, but I would put Christian Eriksen in, because I think he's played himself into form from what I've seen. Like I say, I don't really follow Spurs enough other than Match of the Day to know like what he's doing exactly, but he kind of plays in that kind of hybrid 10 come winger thing that we do with Mane and with Coutinho either side. So I'd be interested to see how he stacks up, because I think, like I said, I think Hazard's responsible for a lot of the creativity at Chelsea. Eriksen maybe slightly less, but again, it's that kind of like a mishmash role where you're kind of a wide midfielder, but you're also a winger. So I'd be interested to see like he start popping up again with goals, whether he compares, because you know obviously Son's the more kind of direct. You know, they played them up front in it too, haven't they, as well? Yeah. So I'd be interested to see how that
it's funny, Eriksen's a good one, actually. I spoke to Flav at length about him, just in a conversation. It's not on video or anything. Flav, obviously, is the host of the Fighting Cock podcast, massive Tottenham Hotspur podcast. It's actually incredible as well. It's one of the best football podcasts going. He also works Ball Street and presents for Ball Street. He hates Christian Eriksen with a fucking passion. Massive Tottenham fan, goes all the games, of course. Says he's a Match of the Day player. Yeah. Now, I agree with you. The thing that I agree with most of what you just said is he's played himself into form, and I have seen a little bit of Tottenham over the last few weeks, and he has made them tick, which kind of made me text Flav and go, what are you talking about, lad? Do you know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, fair play. He's actually in great form at the minute. So yeah, maybe Eriksen would have been an interesting one to compare him to. We'll move on to the second slide because we've got some different statistics on this slide. So we are now looking at the same players, of course. We're looking at pass completion, successful passes, tackles won, aerial duels won, interceptions, clearances, fouls suffered. We might have to stop the show and call an ambulance because my elbow's fucked. I know it didn't sound very loud. It hurt like
I'm terrified.
It hurt like buggery.
I'm terrified that Noam's going to fall on you.
Right there. Right there. Ow, stop it. Okay, so yeah, I thought these are slightly more of the attacking pressing stats, if you will, because we can look at how he's doing for the team, I suppose, interceptions, aerial duels, tackles won and stuff. So his pass completion, again, it's good. We play a lot of final third attacking passes, more than any other team in the league. We are top of most passes in the final third. So I would kind of expect this pass completion to be a little bit further down than you know, maybe an Eden Hazard or Raheem Sterling, but 79% regardless. Successful passes, second most again. Tackles won. Most after Theo Walcott. That's a bit random, isn't it?
You wouldn't expect Walcott. I don't never associate Walcott as a man who tracks back or does any kind of difficult work. But I wonder, the only thing I wonder, which wouldn't come up in these stats, is I know Mané is the type of person who will literally chase someone back down the other end of the pitch to put a tackle in and win the ball back. I wonder whether a lot of these are with Walcott or whether he's done it in the other team's area where he's lost it and then won it back off someone and it's counted as a tackle. Because
there's no way of knowing, John.
I'm not saying it's not thing, but if he is doing it, fair play to him. That's a surprise, but I'm a bit dubious about that stat because I don't think that's tackles where he's put a challenge in the area.
So I say to you, Sadio Mane wins more aerial duels than all of them players. What do you say?
It's a madness, isn't it?
It's crazy. And he's killing it. 24 aerial duels won compared to 10 for Hazard, 8 for Sterling, 3 for Son, and 17 for Walcott again. What's this kid on?
I need to watch more Arsenal, clearly. This kid's clearly mad. I don't know. You need, for the amount, I always forget that he's like 28 or something. For the amount of seasons he's meant to have come good, it's about time he started putting
it. He is playing well this season, isn't he? Yeah. Interceptions, I was really surprised with this as well. Mane's only made 4 interceptions, 12 for Hazard, 7 for Sterling, 2 for Son, and 11 for Walcott. He's coming off really well, Theo Walcott, in these categories, isn't he? It makes me think we should be signing him as the Mane replacement, to be honest with you, because this is kind of stuff that I want to see a winger doing.
It is, I think like, it's not something I think the game's changed that much in recent years that you don't associate maybe like these kind of stats. Like you think of aerial duels, and the first thing that came into my head was like, oh, Benteke or Andy Carroll. You're thinking of like a big guy who plays up front, and you don't think about these things. But I think the thing that things like that show is like how the game's changed and how we have options. I think it's like the Jamie Vardy thing at Leicester. What you're seeing is that Mane's the guy who will just throw a ball long and let him run in behind, and he's the guy who's knocking it down to Coutinho and Firmino, and then that's letting us press up the pitch. But you're seeing that, I think, reflected throughout the league now. It's not just a unique tactic or like a different selling point to every team. It's like a lot of teams are starting to change how they play in the game and use different types of wingers.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I always call them a wrinkle because that's what they talk about in NFL and stuff, and they talk about wrinkles within formations and within plays and certain things. And definitely there has been a little bit of an onus on Sadio Mane. I mean, quite often he's the guy we go to from kickoffs. We'll knock it back and then we'll knock a long ball over to Sadio Mane from a kick-off to see what we can do there and catch people cold, especially fullbacks. And we are definitely moving towards that, and I love that Sadio Mane's brought us that option this season.
There's a really good This Is Anfield article, and it's about how it was actually a comparison at the start of the season between him and Lallana, and how Lallana plays like in the hole and in the spaces, and how Mane up until then, like he'd been playing at Southampton, how he played by running in behind. And the one thing I liked about it was it shows how difficult it is to defend against Mane, because someone else can have the ball and he can be in midfield and he won't run to make a passing option. He'll just stay where he is, but he's thinking of the next pass. So he'll kind of hold his run, let someone else go, and then he'll run in behind that player where there's a massive gap, and he's expecting the ball to get chucked in over long to him. And like, I don't know how you defend that as an opposition team, because you naturally, as a player, I think you're drawn towards the ball and where the action is and who you're marking. So how do you defend against a player who's like willing to roam all over the pitch, is that quick, and can be that clinical in a dangerous area? He just goes in behind.
It's amazing. I've not read the article, but it's something that I've been considering for a few weeks now on Sadio Mane. One of those times where you're sitting there at half time and people are going off to get the pies and the pizzas and the hot dogs, and I sit there and think about little plays and individuals in the game. And one of the things that I think about Sadio Mane more than anything is he's the best player at creating space for himself in that squad. And it's those little stop-start movements that he does. And, he's charged with a hell of a lot from an attacking sense from Liverpool, because he almost creates the space for everybody else. And that's what I think we're going to miss more than anything else while he's at the African Cup of Nations, because it can all become very static. We've got lots of teams playing the low block against us, 2 banks of 4, whatever. The people who can create space, Adam Lallana's another one of them, Sadio Mane I think's the best, are the people that make your side tick in an attacking sense. And I just hope that somebody can step up to it, and we'll come on to that later on in the show, because without that, I think we're going to become very deliberate, very predictable, and almost boring to watch in an attacking sense.
I'd agree with that, because I think the big thing we made in the summer about when we signed them was that we needed pace, and I think everyone was like, we need pace because we're quite, like you say, quite stagnant now. We build play up, but it's only once we had it, once he'd signed and we seen him play, we saw how different, how much it changed, how we attacked and stuff, and how vibrant we are. Like, I think a lot of players we've got have really good qualities, but they need that pace to let them do it. like I've always been shocked this season how good Firmino is at holding the ball up.
Yeah.
He's very strong for someone who doesn't look that big. But him, Coutinho, Lallana isn't a quick front three. You know what I mean? Even when Alden, I think he's really good box to box, but I wouldn't say he's necessarily like, lightning quick. He's just got a good engine on him. So you need someone who's got that pace to get in behind, that can change more. Like I think more importantly, can change how quick they run. Mané doesn't play the whole game at 100 miles an hour. He knows when to run, when to use his pace and throw it a bit. So I would be worried. I think that's something that we definitely need, and that's why I'm a bit dubious or a bit worried that this Promes deal seems to be like in the rocks a bit, because I think he's the type of player, maybe not technically who's as good as Mané or technically as good as Coutinho, but just because of what he brings in that pace and that kind of directness that we need to keep all those other plates spinning. I
think that's right, and we'll move on to the next one now actually. And what we've done is this time is I've compared him against other players in the Liverpool side to see if we can just garner anything from the stats that might lead us into who's the best replacement for him. So we've gone with goals scored, assists, chances created, key passes, goals inside the area, shots outside the area and shots inside the area. Thought this is quite interesting actually, because we've done two slides basically exactly the same. One we've compared totals, and one we're going to look at the per 90 metrics. So obviously Daniel Sturridge, although he's played 12 games, has played less than a third of the minutes of Sadio Mane, who's played 1,655 minutes from 19 games when these stats were done. So goals scored, he's our top scorer in the Premier League. Firmino with 6, Sturridge only with 2, 4 for Divock Origi and 5 for Phil Coutinho, who's been out for a while. I'd imagine he'd be probably up there with Sadio Mane. Assists-wise, he's the second best after Phil, who had 5. Sadio Mane's got 4, 3 for Firmino. I was a little bit surprised about. 1 for Sturridge, 1 for Divock Origi. Chances created, joint top with Phil Coutinho, but obviously the per 90 metrics are going to be different. 33 for Mane, 44 for Firmino, 6 for Sturridge, 7 for Divock Origi, 33 again Phil Coutinho. We'll just do one more now. Key passes 29. Firmino 41, 5 for Sturridge, 6 for Origi, 28 for Phil Coutinho. What have you drawn from those 4 stats, Jon?
The thing I draw from it mainly is that you can see I think the first thing you can see to answer the question we started with is that there isn't out of those players, there's not a direct replacement for what he does. Because I think the thing that Mané does really well is he is a hybrid between a 10 and a 9. He kind of is a striker, but he's also kind of quite creative and quite dynamic in how he plays. And I think you can see there from the chances created and stuff, and from the assists, he's maybe not as creative as a Firmino or a Coutinho, but he definitely adds that. He definitely has that element to his game. But then if you compare that, if you stacked up against Origi and Sturridge, they're definitely strikers. They're 9s. Mm-hmm. They play in the box and don't really do a lot. But he kind of does both, and it's interesting. I think that even though his stats aren't exactly the same as other players, they're still really good. There's no drop-off in his stats on those. They might change when we go to per 90, between how creative he is and how good he is at scoring goals. Yeah. He does both in the game. And I don't think we have that, because I've seen Firmino play up front as a 9, but I don't think he plays as... I've never seen Firmino score a goal where he's actually took a good strike. He was good with the ball, but it's always been like he's passed it in. And I think Mane's got that kind of striker's goal in him, you know what I mean?
I think that's right, and I can remember, I think it was the goal against Arsenal, maybe first game of the season, where he's very good in tight spaces inside the area, just creating that little half a yard of space and taking the strike on, which is something that I would associate more with like a Robbie Fowler back in the day, just creating that little bit of space for himself and firing the shot off, whereas Firmino seems to, as you say, almost pass it into the net. There's a coolness and a calmness that I love about that, but it's completely different, as you say, to what Mane's bringing to the table as well.
And that's the only thing I worry about, because I don't know, I know we're going to come on to formations later, I don't know how you replicate that, because, like we were saying before about like it can be quite stagnant and stuff. Like we've spent most of the season, even though we've scored loads of goals, not really playing with a recognised striker, or not playing with the striker where he would normally play. We've had a lot of games where Sturridge has played and he's been on the wing, and the same with Origi. So I don't know how we get that balance between kind of midfield creativity that you'd expect, and kind of a guy who's up there and can score goals, because so far this season Klopp hasn't asked the teams to do that. He's asked them just to all basically go out, like we've said before, like it's like a front 4 or a front 5 even, just go out there and just whoever puts it in. It doesn't matter who it is, who scores the goal, it's about all 5 he's making it. And I don't know whether he will change that, whether he'll start saying, right, we're going to have to start playing with a striker and it's up to you to start scoring goals, or whether, like you say, whether we find someone in the squad or bring someone in who replicates what Mané does, because he kind of is in the attack anyway, like the link between those two roles for me. He's the guy who does a bit of both.
I agree with that. And look, we're going to come on to the second load of stats now. So we've got goals inside the area. Really interesting this. Before I do get onto the stats, I wanted to just sort of say where I'm leading up to. When I was thinking about this, I was thinking 4-3-3 with Sturridge on the right-hand side to take the Mane replacement. Right? And these are the three stats that I've drawn that have made me almost change my mind on it when I looked at these like this. So, goals inside the area, Sadio Mane, 9. That's all of his goals have come inside the area. 5 for Firmino, 2 for Daniel Sturridge, 3 for Divock Origi and 2 for Phil Coutinho. Shots outside the area. Here's the one that really made me start to think about this. 5 shots outside the area for Sadio Mane, 17 for Firmino, 12 for Sturridge, massively amount higher in a lot less minutes played. 3 for Divock Origi, 28 for Phil Coutinho. Now, I'm kind of going to discount Phil Coutinho because I know he shoots a lot, but he's also very fucking good at it. Shots inside the area, 38 for Mané, who's playing on the right-hand side. 43 for Firmino, who's played a large part of the season in the 9, 15 for Sturridge, 11 for Divock and 21 for Phil Coutinho. And what worried me most about this is that I originally thought, well, we'll play Sturridge on the right and he'll just naturally cut inside, blah, blah, blah. But what I've seen from Daniel Sturridge when he has played on that right is him to take his opportunities by shooting outside the area. And that's not what Sadio Mane does in that position. He uses his pace and his directness and his overall just footballing nous to get himself inside the area. And I don't know whether Sturridge has got that in him to be able to break the lines and burst into the box anymore.
I agree with you. I don't think whether it's an issue of pace or whether it's an issue of discipline, because the thing I've found with Sturridge as well is especially with everything that's gone on with his injuries and this thing about maybe he's got a bit of a frosty relationship with Klopp. I think he's too keen sometimes. Like, I think the thing you could say about Mané is that he is very disciplined in what he does. He does like wander all over the pitch and stuff, but I've never seen Mané play and it gets to like 70, 80 minutes and he looks gassed. You know, if he has to make a run, he will make it, even if he's blown out of his arse. Like, and I think Sturridge, I don't know whether he's got that. I think Sturridge, if Sturridge thinks he can go past 3 people and score a goal, he'll do it, even if really he can't. But if in his head he thinks he can do it, he'll try it. And that's the problem. I think he gets to like an area with the ball and he knows he's close to goal and thinks, I could probably put this in if I tried. Whereas I think Mané has it in him where he thinks, I'll load it up and I'll wait for everyone to get round me, and if I can't make the pass, I'll try and go past. And he weighs his options up a bit. And that's the thing. I think those shots outside the area, like for so few games to have that many shots where you've basically just come on, got the ball and thought, I'll have a punt. You know what I mean? And
it worked against Everton, of course, you know, and he was the reason that we ended up getting the win. And Sadio Mane himself gets the winner in that game.
That's the thing. But the thing I think that highlights the point there is that Mane had the balls to run in behind. Think I can make this, and it was late in the game. It was a proper slog that match,
minute,
and that's what he did, and that's what I think maybe Sturridge has done that in the past. But I think it's been instinctive, and it's been instinctive for those reasons. He thought I can do this, and I don't know whether he would do that on the right, if you know what I mean. I think. You know, I think people have said in the past he's very good at poaching goals. Sturridge, a lot of them are tap-ins. Like I remember the 3-3 a couple of years ago with that header against Everton. And that's the thing. I don't know whether he has that discipline. And discipline's never a word I thought I would use for a Klopp side or for Mané in particular. But that's a side to his game that these stats for me have shown up. Like that he does actually, he doesn't just do stuff willy-nilly. You know what I mean? And I don't know
he's got a job to do, and he's happy to do that for the team because he knows that his job is to get in there and get goals for the sides. And yeah, we'll move on to the per 90 stats and we'll just have a look, see if it changes anything for us. So it's on the screen now, as you can see. Okay, we'll go straight down actually to the. I'll tell you what. No, look, we'll look at the chances created. So, chances created 1.79 a game. 2.35 for Firmino, 1.07 for Daniel Sturridge, less than 1 for Divock Origi, and 3 chances created for Phil Coutinho. You can see now the real class in this creativity side of things is Phil Coutinho. Look, he's won 1, 2, 3, 4 of these stats. The one who's scoring more than one goal in 2 is Divock Origi, which is great, which is the striker. He's been in good form. Goals inside the area. Sadio Mane is the guy who's scoring most of his goals inside the area, which is strange again, and I'm sorry to hammer this point home, but I really truly believe in it. He's a fucking right winger, all right, he's a right forward, but he's getting his goals inside the area, and that's what... I just don't know if we've got anybody in the squad who's able to do that, because people have been saying, well, maybe play Adam Lallana on the right. He can't do that either, can he?
No, and I feel like I'm labouring the point slightly by saying he's direct Mane, but that's the kind of thing I think we've lacked for years. I remember when we played Chelsea 13-14, I think it was Carragher brought it up on Monday Night Football, and he said, when you have these teams who sit deep against you, Liverpool, because they knew they had to try and chase the win, were like throwing balls in and just taking shots from outside the area, when really what they should have done is played through them. He said, and if they got fouled, it was a free kick, or it might have been a penalty. And I can't think of a player in our team who does that other than Mane. Mane's the guy who tries that. He's the guy who'll run in and try and get fouled. And even Lallana, as much as I love the fella and everything that he does, it isn't something that he seems to do a lot. He's more interested in kind of create space and play a pass into someone. And I don't know who does do that in our team. Like you say, like even going off the stats, there's not a lot there that makes you think, what is there someone here who can replicate this? For me, looking at them across everything, totals and penalties, there's a very clear divide in our team between who the creative players are and who the ones who score, and Mané kind of sits snugly in between the two. The only thing I would say is, and we've got no way of knowing because he's been out, is I think Coutinho's maybe that guy who could have made the difference slightly, because I do think he's the type of player who will go past 3 or 4 players like Hazard and dribble, and then get into the area and make a shot, and then maybe you get a knockdown off someone in the area. So maybe if we read, and I'm going to come on to formations in a minute, but if we rejig the formation slightly so he had more of a free role, maybe that will compensate for it.
Okay, and then the final really interesting one here is actually to go against everything that I've just said. Sturridge has the most shots inside the area than any player, but then equally at the same time, he has played the majority of his games up front. So yeah, I'm not 100% sold on who the best replacement is from looking at these stats. I think when we start to look at the pass maps and see where Sadio Mane plays, we might see some more going on.
Just out of interest, if you had to pick, just out of what we had, or like what would you go for? Would you go for any of them, or would it be we need someone?
Honestly, I think we need someone. I think I know that this Liverpool side can be a better than average Liverpool side without Sadio Mane, and a good Liverpool side. I think when we've got Phil Coutinho, Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino, we're verging on a great side. And that's the difference for me. And great sides go on and win championships. Good sides go on and get 6th to 3rd. And that's my big worry, is that we might drop a few too many points in this period if we don't, and it doesn't look like we're going to sign a replacement. So I think the only option for us is maybe to tinker around with it and hope to God that Phil Coutinho comes back in and isn't ring rusty.
I'll go with that,
yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide now. These are the pass maps. These are designed by @11tegan11 on Twitter. We literally just picked them up and dropped them into our graphics. They're incredible. If you follow any of his stuff, he does loads on expected goals per 90. Absolutely, if you're into your football stats and stuff, we do cover expected goals in this show as well. We haven't got any of it in. We do change the lineup up slightly each and every week. We're the tinker men of football statistics and stats here at the Redmen TV. But I just love these. And what you can see is, if you've never seen a pass map before, we've got on your left-hand side, Liverpool 4-1 Stoke. In the centre, Liverpool beating Man City 1-0, and Sunderland the 2-2 draw. Go on, take us through the Sunderland one, because I think that's probably, for me, the sexiest looking of the pass maps.
I actually thought this was an interesting one, because I know we haven't got it maybe there necessarily, but throughout the season, when we've looked at these, we've kind of said, we have this kind of weird... Jordan Henderson's in the middle, and he's got his own orbit of players around him, and we've had this kind of like weirdly hexagon kind of circle thing. This actually, to me, looks a bit more like a diamond in the middle, because you've got Sturridge playing through there, and Steve's almost kind of the tip of the diamond, slightly further forward. And I think it's interesting, because that we clearly changed how we were playing, having Sturridge in the team, which is interesting, because I think it shows that Klopp was willing to change what we were doing for the player. But also, I like how Mané kind of... Again, he's integral to how we're playing on that right side. It passes between him and Klein, and that kind of build-up. But also, he's willing, again, to kind of be in that area of, I'm kind of a right winger, and I'm kind of, when Sturridge maybe drops out a bit at the edge of the area, I'll kind of go forward and be the 9. And that's not something we've seen as much in these other maps. We've seen him mainly hold his position and maybe be the furthest forward, but be the furthest forward on the right wing, so he's the outball.
Which is exactly what happened against Stoke. And just to put a little bit of context on these pass maps, and if you haven't seen them before, the bigger the players' circle, the more involved and the more passes they've made. The bigger the grey line. For example, here Ragnar Klavan's got a massive grey line to Emre Can. The more passes that have come in that direction as well, and lines are only there for 5 or more passes between those individuals as well. So you can see over on here loads of passes from Klavan to Emre Can, and then Emre Can to Dejan Lovren, not necessarily in that order, but you know what I mean. And then loads we built very, very much down the right hand side. You can see these thick lines and big circles proving that we built a lot down the right hand side. And when you look at these every single week like we do, you see that although that we're holding the same positions, we tend to change how we're attacking. Against Manchester City, a lot more over on the left hand side with the James Milner, Emre Can, Roberto Firmino sort of triangle. And then, sometimes we've played through the middle with these, and it really has, although we're playing the same formation, it's opened my eyes to how Liverpool play differently against different types of opposition. Okay, so just to put a little bit of context on it then, the 4-1 win against Stoke, we had 63% possession, 20 shots, and 198 attack and third passes. Against City, it's our worst possessional performance of the season. We only had 43% possession in that game. We only had 137 attacking final third passes, which actually as a percentage was really good. But I think if you remember back to the City game, John, we played a lot of direct balls, didn't we, against Manchester City. And Sunderland, where Sturridge and Mane both scored, we had 70% possession, 21 shots and 224 attack and third passes. And just to show how good Manchester City were against us and what a different type of performance that was, Liverpool have created, and there's some belter stats here by the way, the most chances in the Premier League. We've had the most key passes in the Premier League. We've had the most assists in the Premier League with 34. We've had the most goals in the Premier League with 48. We've had the most shots inside the area with 41. We've had the most goals inside the area with 41. We've had the most goals outside of the area as well with 7. We've had the most set-piece goals in the Premier League with 15. We've had the best shot accuracy, which I mentioned earlier on the show. And we've had the most shots from inside the area as well. We're second best in possession behind Manchester City, who have had 58%. We've had 57 on average against everybody. So for Manchester City to make us only have 43% possession, you can kind of understand that that's why they're the best possessional team in the league. And interestingly, this is something that's carried on over from last season, for me anyway. We were playing, I've been taking a look at average pass length over the last couple of years, because this is something that Arsenal brought to my mind maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And their average pass length was better than anybody other in the league, shorter. Right, and Liverpool's was 5, 6, 7 metres further on an average pass length than Arsenal. And Arsenal and Manchester United at the time when I first noticed this statistic were also the quickest. So it was less time spent at a player's feet. So it was very much about moving the ball really quickly. Liverpool are now level with Arsenal on average pass length, and Manchester United and Manchester City, and we're the 4 shortest average pass lengthing teams in the league with 18 metres, which I know that was a lot to take in. It's a really long-winded way of saying Liverpool are fucking boss. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. We're backing it up, mate. It's like, you know, I think everyone, even though we're, you know, Liverpool fans are obsessive about the team and how we are and we really follow football a lot, I think everyone, when Klopp came in, we're like, we're going to play really good attacking football. But we'd seen really good attacking football under Rodgers for like a lot of the time he was here, you know, with the last season kind of fell off a cliff a bit. But what I think you're seeing is that we're backing it up with how we're playing on the pitch as well. And my complaint under Rodgers, you know, coming into Klopp was for years when we used to play the ball, everything like you say was laboured, and it was very difficult for us to move. And I always think the best pass, I think, is the simplest pass. You know what I mean? Like make a quick pass, move, and just keep the ball moving. And Klopp made us do that. And I think there's elements to how we play now under Klopp that maybe a lot of the fans, and myself included, and that weren't expecting. Like, I wasn't expecting us to be so good in possession, but we're not good in possession in the sense that, like, you know, the kind of Brendan Rodgers Barcelona like Liverpool was, where we had to pass sideways and build play
over and over again,
looking for the right pass. Now we just make play. You know, just keep passing. As long as we've got the ball, they can't do nothing to us. So just keep passing 1-2s, moving it, and then let them worry about us. And it's such a different way of playing. It seems simple and kind of like a bit too easy for it to be true, but it does work. But it also kind of it shows the confidence Klopp's got in the players, and in a way it breeds their confidence, because they kind of go, all right, well, Sam, I'm good at playing once he touches passing. You can get the ball off me, and when they don't, that's when we go and score. And just to have that, and to have the steel and the guile we've got from having Klopp as manager, because Arsenal play great football but don't have that.
Yeah. Maybe they are getting a little bit back towards that with the signings of Xhaka and Mustafi, but I think you're right. Generally speaking, they've not had that, have they?
No, and that's what kind of like the balance we're getting, and I like that, because I agree with people who say, like, you know, football's not always about being the most beautiful team to watch. You know what I mean? Sometimes you've got to win ugly and stuff, and I think we've never, for a good while, we've not had that balance. You know what I mean? We had it for a little bit under Benitez, and then you know, God knows what's happened in between there and now. Like, but you know, getting that balance, I think, is really important to being a great team. And Klopp's come in, and those past maps again reflect that. You know, we're not just playing one set style of football each game. We're changing how we play and who we go for and how we attack and stuff.
Okay, and bringing it back onto Sadio Mane, so we'll bring the past maps back up. Actually, you can see there that against Stoke, Sadio Mane is the furthest player forward. Against Manchester City, he's joint furthest player forward. And against Sunderland, he's very close to being the furthest player forward for us. And again, looking at these, it still says to me, and I'm more worried about it looking at all these things, the stats, the pass maps and everything else, that we don't have that direct replacement there in the squad, do we?
No, I don't think we do. And the thing I actually was looking at these, the other thing on the pass maps, like we were saying, like the grey stuff, is the arrows. It shows how the player moves and stuff. I think across those three pass maps, you see the different roles Mane plays in the team. So on this, he's the guy in behind, throw the ball long. He's kind of more of an archetypal right winger. And in the last game, there's actually a lot less passing, but he's a lot less movement. But he's a lot more involved in the passing and the build up. So he's making play for other people. So he's more of a 10, even though he's playing out wide. And yeah, I don't see who does that in our team. I don't see anyone who...
I can see players who can do those individual things, but I don't see one player that can do all three of those roles.
That's the thing, and I hate using buzzwords, because they never say it, but the thing I always think with Mane is he's dynamic. Like, I mean, he does all those things together, and he knows when to do them and can do them in the same game. And I don't, you know, it's easy to say that. You know, how do you scout that? How do you pay for that when it comes to buying a player, like transfer? Because it's going to cost a lot of money, clearly, but I don't see that in our squad, and it's sad to say that, but you know, I think we mentioned a few weeks ago when we last did this, I don't know if this squad was being built to challenge for the league title this season. I don't think it was. So I think we're ahead. We're doing really well, which is great, but I think we're ahead of the curve slightly. I don't think Klopp was expecting to need that kind of depth behind Mane this season. So I don't know how we address it. For me, it's definitely with a transfer, but who that player is. Yeah.
Well, before we just completely ruin the rest of the show, John, we are going to look at different formations rather than just the transfer. So we're gonna start off, and I've put 4 different options of a 4-3-3 in here. So apologies, Jordan, you didn't fit on the screen in either of the in any of the graphics. So we'll start with the top left because we're English. You got Ronaldo and Lallana, and I've been a bit lazy there in all the graphics. We've got Phil Coutinho on the left-hand side. We've got Roberto Firmino up top and Daniel Sturridge on the right-hand side in this one. We'll go through them all first, then we'll come back to each one individually. So top right, Coutinho on the left, Divock Origi running the number 9 position, and Firmino over on the right-hand side. Bottom left-hand corner, you've got Phil Coutinho on the left, Sturridge up top, and Firmino out on the right. Coutinho on the left in the bottom right-hand corner, Firmino up top, and Divock Origi on the right. Now, when I first did this, I was very much a top left boy. And when I texted you and asked you what you would do, you were very much a bottom right boy.
Comments are going wild already.
So let's talk about the pros and cons of each of these individually first and foremost. And then we're going to look at changes of formation to accommodate the loss of Sadio Mane. We'll start with the bottom right because I'm nuts and English, and it was your formation. What made you think that Origi would work on the right with Firmino up top?
The reason I like this one is because I think the thing I like about Origi as a player, and it was actually the criticism I levelled at him when we first signed him when he played under Rodgers, was he looks more of a winger than a striker at times. I think he's comfortable being out wide and drifting wide and then cutting in. And I think it gives a nice balance because the reason Firmino's been so good for me this season, I think, is that he's great when he's in the area playing as the false 9, but he drops back and he gives us that extra man in midfield, and obviously he's great on the ball because he's used to playing as a 10. So he can drop in and be really good when we build up and stuff, and give us that extra man to make the extra pass. But also he's good in the area. So if he's in the area and gets the ball, I'd fancy him to score when he takes a shot. If he drops in, Origi can cut in and go up top as the 9 nominally. So you kind of have that build-up, and obviously on the left you'd have Coutinho. We know how he plays. He comes in and takes the shots from outside the area. So you've got a kind of not a perfect balance that we've had in the past, but a nice balance. I also think as well in doing that, it doesn't change the rest of the team. It's a like for like. It's a one man in, one man out. So you're not changing Coutinho's role when he comes back. He comes back where he was used to playing. Firmino goes back up top. I know he struggled playing on the left occasionally. He's still in his best position that he's played under Klopp. And Origi goes out there. We haven't seen him on the right. He's mainly played on the left when he's played on the wing. So and
he does tend to drift to the left-hand side rather than the right as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, so that's my only issue with it as a formation. But I just think, in terms of the raw traits that it brings, like just kind of what it brings, do it playing that way, I just think it offers us probably the most solid. It's the most like for like what we've been doing so far this season. But I also can see how when we play that, it would work on a pitch, if you know what I mean. Like Origi running behind and stuff, and some of the others, which I know we'll come on to in a sec, is I'm a bit how that works on the pitch. I'm a bit more dubious about.
Okay, so I'll tell you, I'll go through why I originally thought the Sturridge, and to be honest, I said that was the thing, and there's stats there that have made me sort of cool on it a little bit. I still think that's potentially our best option, the Coutinho, Firmino up top, Sturridge on the right, and I'll give you the pros for it, and I think we know the cons about Sturridge's legs and being able to get in behind. I would suggest that if we're going to stick with the 4-3-3, and these what these graphics are about, if we stick with the 4-3-3, you have to get Roberto Firmino and Phil Coutinho next to each other, because that is what's made our side great more than anything else. Roberto Firmino's been a fantastic number 9, and Phil Coutinho's one of the best players in the league, but it's their dynamic that sets that attacking flair that we've got, and that we talk about fluidity, and it's very hardly worked for fluidity, but they set that. Daniel Sturridge, I trust because of his age, because of who he is, how good he is on with the ball at his feet. I trust Daniel to do a job for the team in Sadio Mane's absence. And I think that his experience should help him play in that front three. And ultimately, Firmino's job is more to be, coming in out and dropping into the space. And Sturridge, I think, might enjoy that. You've got to get into that space. Don't worry about picking the ball up in the right-hand side. Worry about getting into the space that Firmino's creating. And that's why I think that could be the best option for us. I think ultimately, I could either go with either of them, to be honest with you. But it's that level of trust in a really experienced player as opposed to a young up-and-coming striker still learning his game as a striker that made me go for the Sturridge. I think when you're looking at his raw ability, Divock Origi's probably got the physicality and the little things that Mane's got much closer to Mane than Sturridge, but it's that experience that I've gone for. Up in the top right-hand corner, Coutinho, Origi, Firmino. Again, I said the first thing that I would do is pair off Coutinho and Firmino, and this is why I wouldn't go for this formation. Firmino's been a little bit ineffectual on the left-hand side anyway, but shove him on the right-hand side away from that, in a position he's not played at all, I think you're asking for trouble, and you almost want... It's the path of least resistance, isn't it? So either of these formations are cool because everybody else is playing in exactly the same position as they would have been anyway. It's just this guy. Whereas here, you've got him playing out of position, and I realise that's only one, but he's so good in that position that you don't want him being ineffectual on the right-hand side, do you?
No, I think you would still have some fluidity there, because I think Origi's comfortable changing positions, but the problem, like we were saying before, is he's most comfortable drifting left, not drifting right. And
he's not really played with Coutinho.
No, so would you have an issue there of how would we have an issue where it's imbalanced? And the other thing I think, just the first thing that came into my head when it came up as well, is I think that's a formation where it ends up being 4-1-4-1. It ends up being Origi on his own, and we'd end up trying to whip balls into him, because I don't think, other than maybe Wijnaldum in that four-man midfield, there's a lot of pace there. So it'd have to be, again, it's build-up play, it's getting it slowly up the pitch towards the striker. Whereas I think in the others, like you say, we're keeping that balance between being box-to-box and being quick in the transition, as well as building up with good passing and stuff. And
what do you make of the left-hand side, the Coutinho, Sturridge, Firmino one?
again, it's a similar thing. I worry about how isolated Sturridge might be.
We've seen that before against Manchester United in the 0-0 draw, haven't we?
It's whether you can, because I think in the area he's great. That's the thing. As a striker, he's definitely our best striker, I think. But it's whether you can get the ball to him. Now, it can work. That formation on the bottom left can work, and it's how we do that. It's whether, I mean, we might have enough credit in the bank of how we've been in the first half of the season that teams don't press us or whatever, or they sit back. So it's not an issue of us getting the ball to him and just let him do his thing. But that's my only concern with that is whether he's isolated, because Firmino is obviously willing to come deep and stuff. And again, he's on the right side. How does he fit in with that?
Yeah, okay. So what we'll do now is we'll take a look at different options for formations. So we've got the 4-3-3, the 3-4-3, the 4-4-2 diamond, and the 4-2-3-1. What I've done here is I've put the front five, or the front players up, and we're going to look at them all individually, one by one. Straight off the bat, what are you going with?
Using my brain, 4-2-3-1. Using my heart, 3-4-3.
Okay, interesting. Brain says 4-2-3-1. I like it. So what we're going to do now then is we're going to quickly go over to the 4-3-3, and we'll talk about how Coutinho, Firmino, Sturridge with Adam Lallana and Gini Wijnaldum will work. So you've seen now we've got the actual full side on here. It's taken fucking ages to make this, by the way. So we've got Milner at left back, Lovren, Matip, Klein, Hendo, Wijnaldum, Lallana. Obviously Wijnaldum could swap off for Chan, blah, blah, blah. Coutinho, Firmino, Sturridge. I think we've talked a lot about the 4-3-3 already. We obviously know as Liverpool fans how this formation is going to work, and we've talked about the different variations of the 4-3-3. So just as a visual cue, because I've made the fucking graphic, we're going to leave that there for a second, but actually, you know what, we're going to get into the formations that are slightly different. So we've led the line with Firmino and Daniel Sturridge here. We've got a straight back four. Henderson, Wijnaldum on the left-hand side, Adam Lallana on the right-hand side, Phil Coutinho in the 10. Give me the virtues of this side, John.
I think you get the best of everyone in terms of positions. I think we've seen Coutinho come deep against Swansea. I can't remember who we had to take off in that. I think it was Lallana went off in that game. He can drop deeper in midfield. I actually think Coutinho in some instances is better when he plays in midfield rather than on the left. So you're getting the best of him. You're keeping that link up between him and Firmino because they were in distance each other. Again, you can pack the midfield if you want to defend, because Firmino can come deep and you can leave Sturridge up there if we're trying to see a game out maybe. And also...
So more like a 4-1-2-2-1, is that what you're talking?
Kind of thing, yeah. And you've also got your best three attacking players in where they're going to do the most damage, in your 2 and your 1 or your front three, basically.
Here's a question, and I'll play devil's advocate, and I'm sorry I've not told you about this. Is that Phil Coutinho's best position?
In the 10? No, I don't think it is. I think his best position's in a midfield 3 on the left, where Wijnaldum's playing. I like Coutinho when he gets to be creative, when he gets to go box to box. So basically when he gets to dribble, and that's why I actually don't mind him dropping into midfield sometimes. When he used to do that a fair bit under Rodgers in this.
He used to play in that position because when we played 3 at the back, he played slightly ahead of Sakho as well, didn't he? I was having a conversation with, I think it was Sai yesterday on this, is that everybody talks of Phil Coutinho as a 10. And I always thought Sterling was the better 10 when the two of them, they changed games, didn't they? I always thought Sterling was a much better 10 than Phil Coutinho, and I liked him in that midfield left-hand side. I don't think he's come anywhere near. He came anywhere near as to what he's been doing this season on the left-hand side. But equally, I also said, I'm playing devil's advocate on it. We've not seen this Phil Coutinho playing the 10, and I think this Phil Coutinho could don the fucking 10. I just don't think it was 2 years ago the last time, maybe 3 years ago the last time he played there. And he wasn't the same player as he is now.
The other thing actually I would say, just tangent off that slightly as well, is I think a big reason he's been that good this season, as well as him being great himself, is I think Milner. Having Milner for the link-up's been great, and I think if you have that formation, it's a slightly different mix, but it's still there. You'd still have him, Wijnaldum, Coutinho and Firmino on the left side of that attack, playing passenger, so you keep that kind of pass and move thing we've got going, and I don't know how he'd do there. It's something we'd have to see, but I think he could do it, definitely.
But definitely the thing that I love about this formation is everybody is playing in their position. I know I've just said that about Phil Coutinho not being a 10, but Firmino and Sturridge is a strike partnership for me that could really hit the ground running.
I do think, I think we've said this before as well, I think Sturridge plays better when he plays in the 2, and that's the thing I like about it. And like I say, it's actually, again, it's drawing the best out of both of them, because I think Firmino's best when he gets to moving between the area and being the 10. And that's what I mean. Like, Sturridge will happily just stay in the box and the rest of the team can get the ball to him, and that formation does this. The only other positive, actually, I will say, but was something I'm going to come on to later, is the problem we've had with this in the past is width.
Yeah.
And Klein and Milner are giving you width there. I've got no problem with Milner doing that. Klein, I'm a bit more dubious on, but we'll come on to that in one of the dons. But Lallana can cover that a bit because obviously he's on the right and we know he's got a good engine. So.
Yeah, and then I suppose finally on the 4-4-2 diamond, I think this is a formation that, you know, we've been really good at setting these pressing traps over the last few weeks, especially, you know, since the start of the season, to be fair. My big worry with this is it's such a big shift in formation that all those things that we've learned how to do, the pressing traps, the amazing attacking fluidity, we're kind of dropping all of that to start something that's very, very different, and you're playing a very, very different way. Now, obviously, we're still going to get Milner high up on the left, we're still going to get Klein on the right-hand side, but that dynamic of the midfield three and the three ahead of it, it's very easy and everyone knows each other's job roles inside and out, that they know what they're supposed to be doing. When we're then asking to change formation completely, you're actually changing the pressing side of things as well, and that's my big concern over the 4-4-2 diamond, is that for me, there will always be an outball for their midfield, and it's right back or left back, because naturally we're not going to have anybody over there, because one of these players is going to have to split the field and then force play out one way or the other. And, you know, the idea is you split the field and you make sure that it's going towards where Roberto Firmino is, if Daniel Sturridge is doing that. But you're one player away from being broken down one side of the pitch, and that for me is the biggest concern over the 4-4-2 diamond. So the 4-2-3-1 is spearheaded by Roberto Firmino. I've put Emre Can in with Jordan Henderson in the two, mainly because I had the picture. No, to be honest with you, I actually like him because he's played that position before. I've put Adam Lallana in the 10, which I think when he plays in a three-man midfield, he kind of drifts into that anyway. Coutinho on the left, Sturridge on the right, Sturridge, Origi, take your pick, and Roberto Firmino up top. Your head said 4-2-3-1. Explain.
I think this is the one that gives us, it kind of looks different. Obviously, it's different to a 4-3-3, but I think it's the one that gives us the least changes, just riffing off what you were just saying. But I also think it's the one that lets us be the most solid defensively. My problem with a lot of these formations is how Sturridge plays on the right. Yeah. Because I think that this, like we were saying before in the stats, is I think Mané is great at tracking back and putting tackles in down his line. I don't think Sturridge would do that. So you're then asking the rest of the team to make up that work. And we've said, I know Steve, when we've done transfer shows, has said it, and other people have said it as well. We're only a Nathaniel Klein hamstring problem away from, you know, not having a right back basically who we trust. And
don't you trust Trent?
I trust Trent, but it's a lot to put on him.
It's a title challenge, you know, and you're bringing on an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid at right back. And
that's the thing. A lot of these changes in formation, I think, for me, it ends up being about that right back thing, and it's like how do we cope with that? But with this, anyway, getting back to why I think this is the one to go for, it keeps all those balances. It basically keeps the back four, the kind of three-man midfield with the Lallana moving into the 10, and you have your front three. But it also means that we've got the legs and the balance and how we're set up as a formation, that when we defend and stuff, we haven't got to be like busting a gut to cover maybe a man who's gone missing. You know what I mean? We've still got that kind of nice shape to the team and a balance between how much we have to work and when we're moving when we haven't got the ball.
Yeah, I think that's right. And again, this is one of the ones that I would be looking to move towards because of what you've just said and what I said earlier, is that it's the path of least resistance in terms of the pressing side of things. But what I like about this formation is, and this is the real reason that I put Emre Can in there, is that he's got the legs, excuse me, to be that extra body, to be that overload guy when you do need somebody, because you can trust Jordan Henderson to cover this space here if one of Nathaniel Klein and James Milner's gone, and Can has got the legs and the ability and the skill to get up and assist if necessary. One thing I would say is this formation could look very different with a fit Shea Ojo in for me, because we saw it against Plymouth the other day. I know it was a 0-0 draw and stuff, but do you remember the ball Daniel Sturridge played over the top of the defence into Shea Ojo? And he just missed it on the edge of the 6-yard box. They're the type of runs that Sadio Mane makes into the box from right wing position. And Shea Ojo ain't there yet. And, you know, he's had a big injury that he's coming back from. But if this is one of his games where, against Plymouth, he was coming back from injury, still working his way into match fitness. He, for me, is potentially the most natural fit for that position. I don't know whether he's ready yet, but that, with him there, might look slightly different to me.
I actually hadn't thought of that. To be honest with you, I completely forgot about that whole game, wasn't I? But no, actually, that's interesting. And so the other thing I think of that as well is you could rotate the pair of them then as well, and I think that would keep that fresh. You're kind of insulating Sturridge in the sense of you protecting his legs, but also it gives you the kind of, you know, you've got an out-and-out winger and a guy who's used to playing up front, so it's a bit of a change of pace for how we play, and we can keep things interesting. Going off that, actually, one thing, I've said a lot of things about Sturridge in this, that, you know, you forget that he can do that. You forget that he's got that killer pass in him, and he's not just a striker. He can have those moments of magic. So
he's an incredible player, and we'll move on now to the one that we really want to talk about, and that's Chelsea's 3-4-3 basically. And you know what? Fuck it. I'm not to say I'm faddy in football. I've liked the 3-4-3 for a few years now. Watching him use it in Italy with the Italian side and obviously with the club side as well. I've opted for Klavan, Matip, and Lovren at the back, with Milner on the left, taking up Marcos Alonso's position, Kleiny taking up Victor Moses' position, Henderson and Lallana, which is a bit of a different dynamic to the Matic and Kante that works so well at Chelsea, and I'll come on to the reasons that I've gone for that later. Phil Coutinho on the left-hand side, Firmino up top, and Sturridge playing in a much more natural forward position, I think, for him. Why did you say this is the one that your heart went with?
I really like 3-4-3 as a formation, and it's... The reason I like it is because it's actually a formation most teams do play when they're attacking. In modern football, we just don't set up as a 3-4-3. It's just what you transition into as you're attacking. And the reason I like it, again, is because it covers all bases and it has a nice balance to it. You know, I think, you know, from when we speak off camera, like, I've got a massive love for Cruyff and how he set teams up at Barcelona and stuff. And it was about that. It was about covering all possible things that could come back against you and then playing your best game, and I think this formation lets us do that.
Especially in the league now with the formations that teams are playing. I mean, the 4-2-3-1 is a massive formation in England, and this is built to stop that, isn't it?
It isn't. The thing is as well is the main problem with it, I think, as a formation is the wing backs thing, and I think actually we have got the players to do that. You know, Milner, we've seen Milner thrive in that kind of left back. It's kind of a left mid role, really, wing back kind of role. And I think Kine actually, I have criticisms of how he'd play in this on the right, which I'll come on to later, but I think you're making the best out of him there, because what he is good at is he's good at getting up and down the right side, and that's what you need in those types of players, and he would have the reassurance that if he did get caught, he'd have Lovren behind him, you know, kind of mopping up. So, and that Lovren, again, we've seen this season when we attack from other pass maps we've done earlier, he's actually quite good at building up and coming into midfield as well. So I think it's not a formation that when you sit down and look at our team, you think we can play that. But actually, when you start thinking about how the players would fit into it, it is actually something that I think we could do.
Yeah, I think the main dynamic for me in this side is, I said it's the biggest difference to Chelsea's 3-4-3. I would have almost a diamond in midfield here, and I've slightly offset the Lallana and Jordan Henderson. I would have Adam Lallana maybe more here and Jordan Henderson more here, so I don't know if that graphic was on the screen or not, but Lallana basically in the 10 position up here, and Jordan Henderson down here in the 6 position. Excuse me. And that, I look at that and go, that's the formation that's got every one of our players in their natural position. And that's the only formation that we've covered that does that. The big thing, again, it comes back to the pressing for me. It's just how different, because Milner and Kleiny are going to have to be charged with making sure that their fullbacks don't attack. And it's then down to Henderson and Lallana to cover that space. And that's where I think the weakness of how I've set this 3-4-3 would be, because you're asking a hell of a lot from those two in midfield, and especially if Lallana's in the 10.
Yeah, that's my only worry with it. And again, it's as much as I love Lallana, I worry about... I think that midfield actually becomes basically Henderson on his own, really, and Lallana goes and joins the front four. Like, but you lose something, I think, if you change and put him out. And
I think if you put Shannon Wijnaldum in, it's more natural to how Chelsea play the 3-4-3, but you're right, we lose something in an attacking sense.
Would it then be slightly different if we took Lallana out of that and put Wijnaldum in? Because he can play the 10, but obviously we've seen him play for us a lot deeper.
Don't say Adam Lallana, though, do you, to replace Sadio Mane? No. That's the thing. That's the thing. But you know, it's about those players. I think James Milner and Kleiny can do that, and I think Jordan Henderson can. Whether Jordan Henderson can do that coming back off another ankle injury or another heel injury is a different thing. But That's the formation that I look at and go, wow, we could blitz teams off the park with this formation, but it's how we are in a defensive sense.
The other thing as well is, like, we think of it obviously because it's out looking at the team. We think of it as kind of how we do the press and stuff. Think of it from the opposition's point of view. How do you because I think you'd have to man mark it. How do you man mark those players?
Because that's the thing. When Chelsea play this 3-4-3, is Nemanja Matic is the guy out of him and Kante who goes, because he's slightly better at playing further forwards, isn't he? But, you know, Adam Lallana's much better than Nemanja Matic is in an attacking sense. And that's why it would make this be almost impossible to play against, because you've then got Coutinho, Firmino, Sturridge, Adam Lallana, Milner and Kleiny as your attacking players, all playing in their best positions possible. It would be a nightmare for other head coaches and managers to think about. So I'm going to put you on the spot then. We're going to go back to the last graphic on this. It's the same graphic as earlier on, to be honest with you. We've talked through them. Your head said 4-2-3-1. Your heart said 3-4-3. After we've talked through them, what are you thinking?
I'm sticking with 4-2-3-1 because I think it's the best balance and the fewest changes. I'll be honest, while we were talking through it, you did sway me slightly on 4-4-2 diamond. It's not something. I mean, I'm not against us playing in any way, but it's not something that I think a lot of the fans since we were that good in 13-14
clamour for it.
want us to see us play it. I've not been one of them. Not because I don't like it, just because I just see the team each week. Like, but you did actually kind of talking about that. Actually, did make me think maybe that's something we could explore more for certain games, definitely. But where did you fall?
I think we'll see 4-3-3 from Klopp. And I think if there is going to be a formation change, it will be to the 4-2-3-1, because, you know, we've both studied Klopp's career at Dortmund. That's the formation that he's most comfortable with. That's the formation that he's most comfortable pressing with. I think at times we play a 4-2-3-1 anyway. I wouldn't be surprised with us to stick at 4-3-3 or move slightly towards a 4-2-3-1, to be honest with you. So those clamouring for the 3-4-3 and the 4-4-2 diamonds, I think maybe down the line we might see that. If more teams start to play 4-2-3-1 and Chelsea continue in their form, we might look at a 3-4-3. But right now, in the middle of a title challenge, changing your formation, I'm not sure it's the right call, to be honest with you. I think we've got enough problems with replacing Sadio Mane without learning a new formation to try and do that for what is essentially 1 month of a football season, although it's a hell of a lot of games. So we're going to move on now to the Ask Me Anything segment of the show. You're going to lead this one this time. You've got a sheet there. Start fucking asking me some questions, Adam will answer.
This one's from Rohan, at Damned Royd on Twitter. How do you all deal with the negativity and trolling by rival fans?
I ignore it, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, it's funny because you get loads of trolling on YouTube. And my biggest thing is, and this is why I'm most proud of Redmen TV above all the other fan channels and why I think we're the best, is because we're not about shitty little fucking banter with other channels. We're not interested in that. I'm not interested in bantering with Manchester United fans. We, all of us, Tom, Si, Paul, you, everybody involved, isn't about let's take the piss out of another channel. We're a fan channel for Liverpool fans, first and foremost. There are fan channels out there, a fan channel for football fans of all teams. And, you know, I think that we're the most, although sometimes worst for biasness, if that makes any sense whatsoever, I think we focus on Liverpool and what Liverpool are doing more than all the others, and we're not asked about it. And if somebody wants to take their time out of the day to come and watch our video, to give us shit in the comments section and essentially put a couple of pennies in my pocket, sound nice one, lads.
I started following this while I was living away from the City and Union. Weirdly enough, it came up in a conversation when I was talking to Paul in the office, and he said the idea was basically to bring what being a Liverpool fan, living in the city and stuff, and talking with your mates in a pub is, to kind of and that's what I think this channel does really well, is that it's not like, I think a lot of other fan channels cover stuff in like a YouTube format that works and stuff, but I think this channel, it's about the club and about the fact that, you know, it's unique for its fans and stuff first, and then kind of comes down to the other stuff that we do around that as well. And I think everything that happens on it's got its own little thing. Like obviously the stats thing is something you and myself are really into, and that. And I think the thing I like actually about all the stuff that goes on with the interaction with the fans that this has is everyone's kind of into their own thing and they're happy with that. You know, some people maybe don't like certain shows that they see, but you don't hear about that as much, or they still say, like, I'm glad you make the content. And, you know, people who I've met who do subscribe and, you know, do watch, who I've spoke to about it, I've always said, like, everything that we seem to do is really good. So I don't really encounter the negativity, to be honest.
Yeah, you will.
Start counting.
If you look at the fan cams, the fan cams is really what Rowan's talking about, because we get loads of, like, when people draw, or when Liverpool draw, or when Liverpool lose, we get loads of it. And to be honest with you, I'm just not asked. I don't go on their channels. I don't look at their comments. I do watch Arsenal Fan TV, but you know, you've got to watch a soap in your life. I consider that EastEnders. You've got to cast the characters. It's fucking brilliant. I love each and every one of them for different things. It's just boss. It's boss. But I don't get involved in it, you know what I mean? That's not what I'm about. I'm a 34-year-old dad, you know, be arsed. If it really makes you feel better to type a tweet in, and oh, look, call this guy a cunt or a specky ginger bastard, sound. I'm not ginger. I am specky, and I am a cunt. But at least I'm not ginger. I'm kidding. I love gingers. Next question.
Moving on. This is from @_Fulch. He's just got a cup emoji as his Twitter name. Klopp sells Coutinho and proclaims he had to do it and will promote and develop a kid to replace him. What do you say?
I'm going to ask you, we'll ask you this one first. Go on, you answer this one first.
I'm sad because we've lost Coutinho. I hope if he goes to a big club, in the sense of, because we'll get a big fee for him. So I'd hope he's gone to Barca. I'm not a big Madrid fan, so I hope he doesn't go there. But I hope he goes to a big club and he has like a good career. Obviously, it's the best move for him. And I hope it's not acrimonious. It's like we get a mad offer and he has to go. It'd be stupid to turn him away. I trust Klopp in terms of what he's done in the past. I think him and the guys he has behind him as a team are brilliant at scouting good talent for the right money, and they're not willing to overpay. And we've seen that at Liverpool, that he's not willing to overpay for a player. And what I like about him actually is that he goes the extra mile to get someone in, as in he'll phone them himself and speak to them directly, but he's also not got time for people who are interested in money. I'm sure that with the kind of the thing over Goethe in the summer. He's got a great history doing stuff with the kids, and you know, getting a young player who's maybe got all the attributes to succeed and then making them into a great player. And I think actually as well, I don't think he gets enough credit for the fact that a lot of times actually it is him who does that, because you've seen some players who he's had who've been great and been really good in his Dortmund teams go to other clubs and not succeed. And I think a lot of that's because of how Klopp works with them and stuff. So I'd trust him to do it. I'd be happy. I don't know if he'd be, depending on who he went to, I don't know if it'd be as bad as when Torres left, because that's the late occasionally. But I'd trust Klopp, to bring someone in behind him.
Yeah. You know what? I fully agree with that. That's exactly what I was going to say, to be honest with you. You know, it's a little bit sad. I'd be gutted to see Phil Coutinho go, but ultimately, I do trust Klopp. He's got a track record of doing it, plucking players, Shinji Kagawa, out of the second division of Japanese football. I've said it all the time. He knows what makes a good football player, and more importantly, he knows what makes a good football player for him, his management style and his side, his type of team. And I think anybody can see a footballer and know if they're good. Knowing they're good and making sure that they're good enough to fit into your side and your system and the way that you work is a completely different thing that's completely underrated in world football. I've seen so many good players go to clubs who are great players who just don't fit in there. I've seen this at Liverpool, I've seen it at Manchester United, I've seen it at Arsenal, I've seen it everywhere around European football. A manager who knows the type of play that he needs is 1 in 100.
It's a unique talent.
So, this one's definitely for you, mate. No, I'll answer this one. @_Fulch again. Fuck. You have to pull a Reynolds-Garfield kiss with a member of the show due to a losing bet. Who is it and why? I'll be totally honest with you. I had to Google Reynolds-Garfield kiss. Do you know about it?
No, I don't.
Ryan Reynolds kissed Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man. An awards ceremony. I didn't check what award ceremony it was. I'd not been on Entertainment Weekly or E or one of these websites before. I felt dirty going on there, to be honest with you. I thought there was bad adverts on fucking Empire of the Cop and This Is Anfield. These ones were like all over the fucking place, you know what I mean? Like, couldn't get out of them. And then I eventually found my fucking video. And yeah, they kissed. I don't know why they kissed. They kissed. Long story short, the answer's Paul. I've still got the yellow pages. Still got them, so I'd stand on a Yellow Pages, I'd give him a little tongue, I'd pinch his bottom. It'd just be like old times, no kidding. I've known him longer than anybody else. I feel more comfortable with me tongue down his throat than anybody else's. I was also his best man. We've been best mates for years. It wouldn't be that weird, although it would be pretty fucking weird. John, you don't have to answer that question.
Thanks.
But we're going to make you anyway.
I honestly don't know, mate. It's
See, one thing that I would consider is you all have beards, and I don't know whether I like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to grow a beard, by the way, but I'm like a fucking 13-year-old boy trapped in a 34-year-old fat body. So I can't grow a beard, essentially. I've never kissed anyone with a beard because my wife doesn't have one. I don't know if I'd enjoy that. Actually, Si's looking a pretty good shout right about now, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Looks like Alan Hansen as well. So, yeah. I'll stop daydreaming about kissing Si in a second, and you can answer the question.
It's a bet, so I don't know whether it goes... For me, it goes one or two ways. Either what's the least bad person to kiss, or, you know, if it's like... If it's because it's losing a bet and it's a bit of a joke, who's the kind of, like, most easygoing. And I think... Out of all of them, I think Lewis is the most easygoing, as in like he's up for a laugh, so it probably wouldn't be weird afterwards. So it's like it's that or who's I don't know. There's no right answer to this question.
No, there isn't.
No. Let's just say Lewis.
Well, what we could do is we could go through the lads and rate them, if you want. And you know, we're an hour and 10 minutes into this show. We've probably got a bit of time.
Nah.
Why wouldn't you kiss Paul?
He's too tall.
He's too tall. I've got the Yellow Pages there for you. That would be like kissing the mirror for you, actually. He's look fairly similar. It wouldn't be that bad a thing, I don't think, for you. I mean, you must have kissed the mirror.
No.
Never kissed the mirror?
No.
What did you practice on?
I didn't.
You never practiced?
No.
So how old were you when you first kissed a girl? This is a proper Redmen AMA now.
Don't know, mate. 14.
14?
Yeah.
And you just went in there with no practice?
I'll be honest with you, mate, I was probably quite drunk at the time, so I'm not sure. I don't know. Don't think of that.
You're going a bit red, are you okay?
I just go red anyway, mate. It's just what I do.
Okay. Tom?
I don't know. I'm conscious that he's behind the camera. Yeah, I suppose. He's a good
I feel
lad.
we're dragging on this. I'm going to move it on. NI_DLP_geek. If you could bring back one player from the Benitez era to fit into the current team, who would you pick?
Easy, Alonso, every day of the week.
Ooh, I'd not even thought of Alonso. I got so fixated on Cout.
Oh, Dirk. I love Dirk as well. Yeah, they're both the right answer as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, good. Next question. How does it feel for you all to work under Chris and knowing that you'll never reach his class?
Do you know, actually, this is a bit of a trolley question. One thing I would say is it's actually great to work under Chris because he works that hard. I think, like, Tom doesn't got a mic, but Chris actually works really hard at everything he does at Redmen. Like, all the graphics and stuff on this show and the research and stuff actually come from Chris this week. Normally we do it together. But behind the scenes, like, a lot of people don't see is, like, you actually do loads of the work, just everything to do with the channel and the Twitter and stuff. So I personally think it's great working with you because you always give good feedback. And
I wasn't going to fucking say that.
This
is where I was going to fucking go. I was going to... Okay, thank you very much, first and foremost. There you go. That's the fucking answer to the question. Go ahead.
Fight trolls with kindness.
Daniel Jack Bear, who does the most pranks? We're not really into pranks, are we?
It's your stilo, I think.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah. I mean, I generally just shout boo at people. And I do love a good boo.
Yeah. You've made many people spill coffee.
By hiding behind the walls.
Yeah. I do think as well as, like, Steve has that thing where the office can be quiet for like 5 or 10 minutes and he'll just throw something out there that's like really out there and all of a sudden everyone just looks at him like, what the fuck? And that's that.
You missed it last week. We did a Facebook Live, one of the polls, and I left the mic on for 2.5 hours while we were having office conversations. Right? We were singing along to Gabrielle, Dreams Can Come True. Ace of Base. The Real McCoy. Basically, we went through the 1994's top 100 songs and we started singing along to it and we'd left the fucking mic on the whole time. And you know some of the conversations that we have in this office, we were very lucky. Needless to say, that video didn't make it published. Once it had finished live, we cut that shit off because I'd said a few things that I couldn't take back. Nothing too bad.
No.
Nothing really bad. I'll tell you after this.
Okay.
What have we got next? At Nathan McClure 33. Are there any plans for the future of the channel?
That's up to you, mate.
Yeah, okay, I'll answer
You're
that
the
one.
boss.
Loads of fucking plans, to be honest with you. Paul and I are always talking about like the future of the channel and stuff, and we generally have the same conversation every single year because we have these fucking plans and don't manage to enact on them. So they're still the same plans as 3 years ago, probably. Like, we're definitely going to update the website. That's going to happen this month. I've got a meeting booked in with the web developers. That is definitely going to happen. What we want most from Redmen is to be an alternative LFC TV. We want to be an entire channel with fucking programming. That's where we want to go in the future. We want to cover everything from the fucking under 18s, under 23s, everything to do with Liverpool. We want to be that hub for Liverpool football content, and Redmen TV, the show, and what we do on the Subscribe show is just a building block for us to get there, hopefully down the line, and we want your help to do it, and we need your help to do it. So keep supporting the show. Do sign up for the website because it does afford us to be able to do everything that we do. Without our subscription website, we simply wouldn't exist. So thank you anyway if you have subscribed. Thank you for giving it a chance. Thank you for putting your money in every single month. It does afford us the job that I love more than anything in my life. It's the reason that I get up in the mornings to come to fucking work and talk about football and interact with you guys. I absolutely fucking love it. I fucking smashing it. Just fucking love it. I'm so lucky. At Clopsy20, what is the craziest thing to have happened on a night out after a game or in general to any of you?
The night after we beat City 3-2 in 13-14, that whole season for me was mad because it was in my last year of uni and it was just the best thing ever, living away and having to see all that. But I came home for that because it was my mate's birthday the night before. So I worked till 9 o'clock in Leeds, drove home, was out in Liverpool at 10:30, stayed out till 4 or 5 in the morning. Couldn't afford a taxi, so I walked home from my mate's near Waversley Village back to mine. Got in about 7:30, still drunk, fell asleep, and I forgot that we'd agreed to go watch the City game, which was at 12. So I woke up at 10 o'clock, went and watched the City game. That was amazing. That was like a whole emotional roller coaster. And then I stayed in the pub till about 12:30 when they shut, just drinking because it was that hyped, and it was one of the maddest days of my life. So.
Crazy. For me, one of the maddest experiences was the end of the 13-14 season. We'd booked a bar in Liverpool city centre to go and have a celebration drink, regardless of whether we won the league or we didn't win the league. And it's not like crazy or anything like that, but we had loads of people involved. Steele was there from the Bib Theorists at the time. We had loads of people in the Liverpool online scene all together. There must have been 50, 60, 70 of us. Harry Hugo was there and all this. And it was a really terrible fucking atmosphere. It was the last day of the season. We'd missed out on the league by 2 points. And we had one of those emotional you'll never walk alone moments where everybody in the club put the fucking arms around each other. And we had hired out this fucking place, by the way. And we all stood in the middle of the dance floor at the end of drinking for like fucking 8 hours and did the most, fraught with tears, like people on the edge, just hugging each other and singing You'll Never Walk Alone. And that was for me when I knew after 13-14, first and foremost, that I would see Liverpool win the league again. And I believed that there would be players in that squad who could do it and that everything was going to be all right, because I knew that the fan base that we've got fucking stand up in the face of adversity. There you go. So it's not one of the craziest things. There's been much crazier things happened on the night out, but that's one of the most memorable things. And even though I can't really remember it, because I was absolutely fucking hammered, I think I was doing a dance and a jig in the middle of that circle as well at some point. There is videos of it somewhere. At Lunat_Mohammed, what inspired you guys to do what you do? I suppose that one's more for Paul, to be honest with you, than me. Paul had the idea for Redman, and he was inspired to do it for the reason of he didn't think the coverage of Liverpool was good enough, to be perfectly honest with you, and he wanted to get real people's opinions and create an environment for Liverpool fans to talk and engage with each other. And now it doesn't seem like that mad of a thing. in 2009, YouTube had been around, I think, for 4 years. No one was doing this. We were the first ever fan channel for any sports team in the world, especially in the UK. There was no others. And Paul always says this, it felt like he'd broken into a room for a party and no one was there and we were the only people there. And that's what inspired him to do it, to get in touch with Liverpool fans and create this culture where we could all talk about football, which is the best fucking sport in the world, together, talking about the best fucking football team in the world as well. At Clavs Meezies, what has been the biggest eye-opener during your time as a channel? Go on, you can answer that if you can. If not, I'd happily do it.
The thing actually, the thing that's up my eyes is just how it's made me appreciate all the different sides of the sport, as in like all different like the ways of looking at things, and it's made me appreciate like how good we are and how big our fan base is. Like, I know everyone always says that, but like seeing it like from the other side with you guys in the office, like the kind of emails and stuff we get off people from around the world saying about the channel and that. And yeah, and also the other side of it as well, like the kind of more day-to-day kind of thing of just how much work goes into all this, you know what I mean? Like, I think you kind of see, I think some people might see the channel kind of in passing on YouTube and think, oh, it's a YouTube thing, and there's still a kind of stigma around YouTube of it's a guy in his bedroom with a camera, when actually a lot of work goes into what happens here, like, so yeah, it's made me appreciate that, like I was saying before, like how much hard work goes into doing this and how grateful everyone here is for it, but also it's really expanded how I see the game and how I see our team.
I think the biggest thing for me is I just didn't realise how negative people can be around football, to be honest with you. And it's mad because, you know, we've been doing this for 6 years now as a fully fledged channel. It's obviously grown and grown and grown. And, excuse me, the people seem to, I don't know, don't enjoy the footy anymore. And it's like, it's why we got into it. It's like, I fucking love going to the football. I love singing me fucking heart out. I love the fact that Liverpool can win tight games. I love the fact that you can draw games. I love the fact that you can lose games. You know, I don't want to see Liverpool lose, but wouldn't it be so fucking boring? It wouldn't be a sport if you just won every single game. And it's the ride that takes you to these trophies that makes them all the better for me. And, you know, as bad as it is that it's been 27 years for Liverpool to win something of major note, of a league title, that journey, I will have been there the entire 27 years. The fucking explosion as that one fucking comes off is just going to be incredible. And sometimes, you know what? You've got to enjoy the ride. And 27 years is a lot of time. People have been pent up for quite some time, and the explosion when Liverpool finally do win a league, and more importantly win a league under Jurgen Klopp in the next 3 years, is going to be incredible. And it's what will make that all the more sweet is everything that we've had to go through as a fan base to get there. And there you go. That's the Ask Me Anything section of the website. I hope you've enjoyed that. One final segment to the show is the league position comparison. And as you can see at the top of your screen, 0809, we've compared Liverpool, if you've not seen the show before, to 3 other seasons: 0809, 13-14 and 0102. 3 years where we came second in the league. We've done them into a little league table after 20 games. 0809 are running top of the league table. They won 13, drew 6, lost 1 goals for, 35 goals against 13. Amazing defence in 0809 under Rafa Benitez. Goal difference plus 22 and the points were 45. We're second with 44 points. 13-14, third with 39 points. And fourth, aka last, 0102, 38 points. How are we doing, John? We do this every week. We look back and we consider it, and
we're doing pretty well, mate. I mean, you've seen, I think the thing is, we've said loads of times when we've done this, is 0809, that team really, if it wasn't for United, that team really should have won the league because it was that good. But I think you can see there in the kind of goal difference, but also the goals against, you know, we've got a better goal difference now than they have, but we're a point behind them. And, you know, it's clearly your defence, they'll actually win the league and stuff. But
we've got a chance to go ahead of them though, haven't we, John?
We do. We did a bit of research, looking forward, slightly a forecast. They, for some reason, that team hit a really bad run of form in January. And so this is up, obviously, to 20 games. I did up to the middle of March. It was like the next 8 games. They had 4 draws, 1 loss and 3 wins, and took 13 points out of 24. So they're coming up for a bit of a rough ride. Obviously, we don't know how we're going to do. But I did kind of have like a little think around this, a little bit of investigating. I was worried maybe it was fixture congestion, but when I looked, we only played 4 more games outside of the league in those next 8 games. So we played 12 games in 3 months. One was a replay against Everton, so it wasn't really like we had to travel. We played them twice in the space of a week. One was the round before that in the cup. I can't remember who it was, but we won. And the only other game was when we beat Madrid in the Champions League that season. So
is that the saying a goal?
Yeah. So it wasn't as if we had like we had a lot of games over, but it wasn't as if like we were bogged down in the fixtures like we are this month. We've got 7 games. So I don't know why that happened. The other alternative I looked at was have we got the squad depth, and I think that's maybe something we do need to look at with our current team as we go through these fixtures. We're going to play Chelsea, United, Spurs, City, Arsenal, and we've got 2 legs against Southampton. We're basically playing all the top 7 in the next two and a bit months. I think Burnley and Leicester are in there as well.
Yeah, they will be. Burnley was our first, second away game of the season, wasn't it? Leicester was our first home game of the season.
So it's going to be, it could be difficult, and obviously we've done a whole bunch on Mané in the last hour. So it's like I'm not sure whether we have the depth maybe, or whether we're going to need the depth, because it's a lot of games to play if we're going to start looking at doing a thingy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And one thing that you've not mentioned is that Rafa did his fact speech on January the 9th in 09, didn't he? And after that, as you said, 4 draws, 1 loss, 3 wins. So we've got a chance to overtake 08-09. I think if we can win this mini league table, we'll finish at least second in the league. And I know, was it 86 points that 08-09 finished on?
I think it was 86. Yeah.
And I think maybe was that 13-14? I can't remember now. I think.
I know in 08-09 when we finished, it was the highest points total to never not win the league, if you know what I mean. Like United was that good by the end of the season that like if any other year we'd have won the league. The
team to watch out for though really is 13-14. They hit a real amazing runabout now, if I remember correctly, don't they?
They go, I think, I had a quick look at it, it's basically in the next 8, same time span, next 8 games, they win 7 and draw 1. And they had 2 rounds of the FA Cup, they won both of those before they went out against Arsenal. So they really at peak form, but again, it's the squad depth thing with them. I think where they came unhinged, obviously, was like losing Henderson and losing a few key players and not having the bench. I think we've got a better bench, it's just how we use that. The pressure clearly was getting to Rafa a bit with the fax thing, so I don't think the pressure gets to Klopp, because I don't think he's that type of guy. But so people were saying on New Year's Day when we played Sunderland, the second against Sunderland, he looked quite tired and stuff. So how he managed.
Not risky in them, wasn't he?
Normally, but or in like Dubai or something with Dortmund. But how we manage this next month or so is I think really going to determine how we set ourselves up for the last part of the season.
Okay, brilliant, John. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me on the new Liverpool Stat Show, formerly the Weekend Briefing. If you've watched the entire show, thank you so much. I know it's been long. I love this type of football stuff. We don't get to showcase this side of us on the YouTube channel. This is the type of stuff that I'm really passionate about, John's really passionate about, and a few of us in the office are as well. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this special episode of the Liverpool Stat Show specifically for Freeview Week. This is the type of content that we do on a weekly basis behind the paywall. If you've enjoyed it, please give us a chance. It's £2 a month. The first month, as we always say, is free, but the final word for Southampton will be out tomorrow. We've got the Reds transfer roundup as well, out tomorrow. We've got the final word for Manchester United going out for free as well. So we've picked the week where we're doing the most amount of shows so that you guys can see what we're all about, what we showcase as a channel and the website. I hope you've enjoyed it. Give the video a like, please do, because it's such a long video. The more likes, the more comments, the better for us. We want to get this video to as many views as possible, so comment anything you want us to talk about. Both John and I will be in the comments section when the video goes live. We'll probably check it after 24 hours as well. We'll answer all your questions. We'll speak to you about any questions that you've got. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you after or during the Southampton game.